Don't remember as much. The jail. You're in the jail. I barely remember that one, but I played it on stream. God knows how long ago. Obscure is another one that I fucking love. We watched like the movie version of Obscure the other day, like all the cutscenes. Alan Wake, number 20. Dude, I liked Alan Wake, but I don't know.
Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're counting.
Something about Alan Wake was I don't know. I do like Remedy a lot. I like Control more than Alan Wake. I think Control is the game that was way more impressive. But yeah, Alan Wake 2 does look fucking sick. I'm ready for that. Looks
Down
great.
Our picks for the top 20 scariest games.
All right,
Number
Layers
20,
of Fear.
Layers of Fear.
Don't agree. I do not like Layers of Fear. Something about Layers of Fear and Blooper. I hate like dogpiling them, but I just don't like their games that much. The only one they made that I really liked was fuck, I just slapped my microphone. What the fuck was what was the Cyborg game they made that had Rutger Hauer in it and stuff? Observer. Observer was the one that I thought was pretty decent. It still didn't hit exactly the right way for me, but I thought that one was okay. All of Blooper's other games did not really do anything for me. Remake of Layers of Fear? No. Layers of Fear I just didn't like, dude. I don't know. Let's watch the fucking the best clip ever. I'm trying to find the Germa clip of the baby. I just want the one clip, not like a fucking... This is it. What the fuck, dude? It's so fucking stupid. Oh my god. Is that actually the lore? The baby killed, like, jumped into a wall? What the fuck happened? Yeah, the only thing I can find is like the 10-minute Germa video. I don't want to watch the whole thing, but yeah, Alan Wake was fun. I've always enjoyed it, but let me turn my gain down maybe a little bit. Maybe my gain is fucking weird, the noise gate. Alan Wake 2 will be the deciding factor if Alan Wake is going to be like a big game for them going forward, or if Control should just really be their flagship game. Aren't they like remaking Max Payne or some shit like that too? Yeah, the gameplay gets to me after a while. I love the characters though. They have some fantastic characters in that game. It's a cool series. I don't know. I'm kind of split on it. I haven't played it in at least 5 years, so.
Developed by the oddly named Bloober team, Layers of Fear is a psychological
Oddly
horror
named
game that takes its
Bloober
cues
team?
and influences from the
You're making
independent
Max
horror
Payne 1 and
titles of
2
the
and
first
merging them into
decade.
one? That's going to be
More
sick.
on that later. You play as a mentally disturbed artist who is trying to paint his masterpiece, but who keeps getting distracted by puzzles and an ever-changing
I mean, we have the
mansion.
Max Payne note.
Like most psychological games, Layers of Fear places most of its horror
You
within
love
the mind
Remedy in all their
forces
games.
us to evaluate what is and isn't real. As such, it asks us to share in the protagonist's surreal experience, even if that's something we don't necessarily want to do. The persistent jump scares and disturbing visions.
Dude, why do they need to have
much.
such a giant logo or watermark for their fucking videos? It's because we're stealing it. It's not even his gameplay. It said it was someone else's long play.
Number 19, Doki Doki Literature Club.
I know a lot of people really, really love Doki Doki, but I don't know. I've never given it a chance, but I never have felt the draw to it at all. I'm going to skip over it because I want to avoid spoilers, but I don't know. If someday someone could give me like a convincing argument to like actually check it out, I would, but Subnautica, I don't think Subnautica is necessarily a horror game. It is horror situations and stuff, but I feel like most people, Subnautica is like a chill game. Like, sure, there's fucking monsters, but I skipped forward. I didn't know where it was going to be. I don't know. I still don't know what it was.
This is not a horror game.
Also, I have a really bad short-term video game memory, so
or a fear of deep water,
just forget everything.
More than enough to dread.
If a game I played
Released
a year
on early
ago,
access back in 2014, Subnautica
back up.
attracted great
Don't even
attention
remember
for
what
its
happened.
unique adventure-based
Some was fantastic.
gameplay. Players control the survivor of a spaceship crash who is forced to explore.
Doki's hard to recommend. Like 4 hours of setup to get to the point. Is it really that long? Jeez. You know, all the dialogue and silly voices. Yeah, I just can't. Something about a lot of those horror visual novels. I don't know. Something about it. You do it. You do it, man. Although people do love it. Apparently, I'm not trying to knock it or anything. I'm sure it has its merits, but I don't know if it's for me necessarily. Scariest, yeah. I mean, still wouldn't consider it scary, really. It's a survival game with scary elements.
Explore an ocean planet for resources.
So in a game like this, I feel like you can trivialize like the encounters at a certain point. That happens in a lot of survival horror games where you become so powerful that like most enemies are just like not a nuisance more than they are scary. So I don't know. No doubt there's things in Subnautica
Like
that are
all survival
scary.
games, Subnautica preys on the player's vulnerability and often puts them in precarious, even dangerous situations. And yes, it all involves the deep ocean. Whether it's being stranded in the middle of a pitch-black night or seeing a massive Lovecraftian monster sliding by underneath the surface, Subnautica will ensure that you don't go swimming anytime soon.
Like the scariest things in Subnautica are the unknown. Once you know everything in Subnautica, I think it loses a little bit of its, I don't know, scariness. Maybe you could say that about a lot of games. I'm not sure if that's a...
Number 17, BioShock 2.
BioShock 2? Fuck?
And speaking of thalassophobia, how about an entire city at the bottom of the ocean? BioShock 2 continues the story of Rapture. This underwater city was
played
created
this
by
when
Andrew
it came
Ryan,
out.
who
Never
envisioned
again
it
after
as
that.
some
I
type of
barely remember.
objectivist utopia out of an Ayn Rand novel.
Yeah, it wasn't really
of
hot
course,
in it.
things quickly went off the rails and we got the violent and insane world of BioShock.
Plus, being a big daddy, doesn't that kind of...
BioShock 2 carries over the dreary atmosphere of the
powerful,
first game,
so-
with leaking walls, decaying buildings, and psychotic killers popping out of shadowy corners. The sequel also introduces Big Sisters, which are agile and speedy enemies that screech loudly while attempting to stab you with their massive needle arms. Basically, BioShock 2 is BioShock on steroids.
You never hear anyone talk about this game, really.
Number 16, Lone Survivor.
Hey, we were just talking about this the other night. We were talking about this when we were playing the serial killer game, the clown game. This is definitely a cool game to check out. Although I got so frustrated with it, I think I stopped playing it a while back. But it's a good one. 2012, too. That's so fucking long ago.
Independently created by Jasper Byrne, Lone Survivor is a wonderful piece of survival horror. Originally released as a Flash game, Lone Survivor expertly blends elements of horror, adventure, and puzzle solving, all in a gloriously styled retro 2D platformer.
I did play it on stream, but I don't think I ever finished it. I think I got really lost or...
The game contains many different types of horror
no.
gameplay.
Like I said, I got such a bad memory when it comes to these things.
Variety. It contains more primal and
like
classic elements of survival horror, like stalking through shadows, fighting monsters, and conserving ammunition. But there are also more unique psychological aspects, like staving off madness with sleep and befriending various hallucinations.
With the pills.
It's like I Am Legend in video game form, and it is every bit as terrifying as that sounds.
I Am Legend in video game form?
Number 15, Amnesia: The Dark Descent.
Yeah, I'm honestly here for this Slender remake. I love Slender: The Arrival. I think that's a cool game.
The legacy of Amnesia cannot be overstated. It kickstarted the independent horror
tried to
craze in the
speedrun
early 2010s, and its gameplay mechanics and general style were heavily copied throughout the decade. The game has you control a man named Daniel as he explores a dark and foreboding castle, solves intricate puzzles, and hides from deformed and nightmarish creatures that literally cause him to go insane.
It's trying to work on like a shitty speedrun night thing, like Slender and a bunch of other games.
Never before had a game focused so heavily on sheer survival, and few have made the player feel so alone and vulnerable. You may begin questioning your own sanity by the time the credits roll, never mind Daniel's. It's a masterful example of the survival horror genre, and it remains
I liked Amnesia. It's probably one of the first horror games I streamed. I probably streamed it in like 2014 or 2015. I have no urge to ever go back and play it again.
Number 14, Until Dawn.
H?
What's it spelling?
Hold on.
How's this happening?
I think what's always get it mixed up. Who are the devs of Until Dawn? Is it Massive Games or Supermassive Games? I know one of them made not these games, but Until Dawn is the best one. All the games they've made afterwards, not nearly as good. Until Dawn is the best one they ever made. I don't know. All the other ones are just so off, so weird. Supermassive.
Are you moving it?
I swear it's just moving.
Until Dawn is one of the PlayStation 4's most unique exclusives. It serves as an interactive choose-your-own-adventure style of game, as the choices you make directly impact the story and characters. The story takes its influence from a wide variety of horror styles, starting as a creepy slasher in the vein of Friday the 13th, before transitioning to a more fantastical tale involving Wendigos and Native American curses. Of course, much of the horror derives from the nature of those stories, but the stress of keeping your characters alive and trying to make the best decisions possible also adds an element of unpredictability that helps keep the game fresh and relentlessly nerve-wracking.
If you were faking it, you were doing one hell of a job.
Peter Stromar. I love Peter Stromar.
Number 13.
So good.
Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria Simulator.
Awesome in everything he's ever been in. I don't know, never could get into the
Independent developer Scott Cawthon struck gaming gold when he released Five Nights at Freddy's back in 2014.
What's happening here?
The series instantly became a cultural phenomenon played by millions around the world, but the franchise went in an exciting new direction.
The other ones, though, were just like so weird.
With the release of Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria Simulator. As its name suggests, the game is an imaginative hybrid of business simulator
I like how
and
Five Nights
horror. All the hallmarks of the classic series are present, but the game also introduces
a lot of attention to the genre, but like
including the aforementioned
not into it.
aspect and a retro 8-bit art style. It also adds
Story's
some
worth it. I'll forget it one of these days. Is that the newest one they did?
Tantalizing loose ends. It's a must-play for Five Nights veterans and newcomers alike.
But more importantly, we value our commitment to atoning for past mistakes and tying up loose ends. Thank you for your participation.
Number 12. Metro 2033.
I enjoyed Metro. Metro games are fun. Like, they're so exhausting. When I got done with Metro 2033, I was like, I gotta go for a fucking walk. Because you're just in these like claustrophobic hallways and like train stations the entire game. But it's a good genre, or a good genre. It's a good series, and I think it gets overshadowed by a lot of other ones. What was the other Metro that came out? It was like more open world. I feel like that got paved over completely. Exodus. Was that any good?
Monsters, nuclear war, fatal radiation, the dark and dank metro tunnels of Russia.
Dark
this
and
game
dank.
packs a lot of creepy stuff.
I like the story for Metro.
2033 is based on Dmitry Glukhovsky's novel of the same name, which follows the survivors of a nuclear war who live
It's like the
underground
end
in the
and
Moscow
stuff.
metro
Like
tunnels.
the teachers, librarians, or whatever they were.
The game contains many memorable set pieces
Yeah, it's
that
confusing.
work in some great bits of horror, but the highlight here is the atmosphere.
It just
one
feels
of the
like a
most
slog
detailed and
the entire
horrifying game
time.
worlds ever brought to life, complete with some stellar production design and a smart incorporation of gameplay into setting. You feel every second of its apocalyptic gloominess, and it makes for a terrifying gaming experience.
I'd recommend it, I guess,
Number
if you get
11,
a chance to play
Dead
it, I
Space
guess.
2.
I like Dead Space 2 over Dead Space 1. I like Dead Space 1 just fine, but I think Dead Space 2 is where it's at.
Now, if you want to talk about viscerally impacting, let's talk about Dead Space 2. The Dead Space series is the medium's answer to the scary space stories of old. Space inherently makes for a terrifying setting. Not only is it seemingly beyond human comprehension, but there's literally nowhere more isolating. In short, it really gets the old imagination going. And not in a fun way.
It's another one I feel like I don't necessarily want to play again until like there's a remake, though. I don't even feel like drawn to the remake of Dead Space 1.
Add in some of the scariest necromorphs to date and some truly
the
disturbing body
kids.
horror, and you have the living nightmare that is Dead Space 2. We didn't think it could get much scarier than the first game. This proved us wrong.
I had a lot of fun streaming Dead Space, though.
Number 10, Bloodborne.
Right? Can I guess?
Arguably
Speaking
one
of,
the
I might
most
do a
beautiful
bounty
games
for
ever
Liza P
created.
later tonight.
Bloodborne delights players with its
Keep
visual
putting up these
opulence, while
bounties
also
for
scaring
Liza
the
P.
pants
I'm just
off
going to
them.
keep taking them,
The
honestly.
settings are molded
It's a
after
fun
old
game.
Gothic countries like Romania and the Czech Republic, offering up a classic Dracula-esque atmosphere of gloom. But that's not the only literary influence.
I love
also takes many
Bloodborne, but
cues
the
from the writings of
game
H.P.
is
Lovecraft,
feels so
complete with
incomplete without the
grotesque
DLC,
tentacle
without the
monsters
Hunter's
and themes
DLC.
regarding the ancient, alien, and
Love
unknown.
the DLC
And of course,
for
there's the
Bloodborne. It's
traditional
so
Dark
good.
Souls gameplay that masterfully escalates tension through its difficulty. Put
I
simply,
bet there's a hack
it's a masterpiece.
people are doing now for PS5 where you can play Bloodborne at 60 FPS.
Number 9, Darkwood.
Yes. Fucking love Darkwood. One of the
According
best.
to the developers, Darkwood takes place during the Cold War in an indistinct location of the Soviet bloc. A
This game
mysterious
actually
forest
did
has
scare the
sprouted
shit
up,
out of me when
which
I first
traps
played it,
civilians
too.
and turns them into
Does
dangerous
such a good
monsters.
job of scaring
you. Play
you.
as the stranger,
Making you
an
feel
unknown
helpless.
man who rightfully wishes
So
to
good.
escape the forest.
Love the guys breaking into your house in the middle of the night. It's so fucking fun.
While Darkwood contains scary and grotesque creations, most of the horror is mined from tension. The game has a unique day-night cycle.
Yeah, I
During
love
the day,
the
players
Born
are allowed
DLC.
to
It's so
explore
good.
and gather resources, but when night falls, they are forced to hunker down in their hideout and survive by any means necessary.
PS5 hack.
Hideous creatures and a dark forest at night? No thanks. Number 8, Resident Evil 2.
I mean, definitely.
Very
I still
few
like
video game
Resident Evil
remakes
2, the
are as
original,
powerful as
so
Resident
much
Evil
just
2.
because that's
The original from
it's the game that like made me stop being scared of horror when I was younger.
Enter this stellar 2019 remake, which
Love to.
completely updates the title for a new generation of curious players.
I love the
It
3
carries
remake
over
too. The
everything
3
that made the
remake gets so
original
much
such a
shit, but
smash
I liked
hit,
it just
including
fine.
its wide variety of fun settings, unforgettable enemies, and terrifically tense gameplay.
Definitely isn't as fun as the original game, but I guess criticism's valid.
Nothing
But
gets the blood pumping like running from the tyrant in a pitch-black police station. Whether you're
Liked it.
experiencing the game for the first time or basking in the glorious 90s nostalgia, Resident Evil 2 delivers the goods.
fucking Mr. X's face just turned red.
Number 7. Soma.
Oh, yeah, I would agree. The original was definitely better, but I still like the remake.
Following the runaway success of Amnesia,
That was gonna be
Frictional
it.
Games
That was the
released
only
an
thing they showed
underwater
for
walking
Soma.
sim/puzzle game called Soma. It carried over many gameplay
Soma
elements
is
from their prior
fantastic, but it
masterpiece,
honestly
but
made
placed
me
a
feel
greater
sad.
emphasis on narrative. Said narrative took major inspiration from Computer Gains' artificial
the whole
intelligence
game. I
stories
don't know
like
how to
2001:
explain
A
it.
Space Odyssey, and raises some disturbing questions about consciousness and what constitutes humanity.
Your teddy bear could use some repairs.
The ending is so.
He's top heavy, so he keeps falling over.
I don't know. I don't know
It
how
also
it just like
contains
made me
a rich
feel
underwater setting
things.
that mixes grungy Bioshock with some haunting elements of futurism. We guarantee you'll have a good
That was a
start on
long-
the first time
played it
you
right when
see
it
a
came out. It
human
was a while
merged with a
ago.
computer. The atmosphere that Soma
Very
creates
sad.
is second to none.
This is
Yeah?
pretty amazing, right?
Number
Definitely the
6,
best game they've ever
Inside.
made. Frictional. Oh, dude, I love Inside. Apparently, there's a game that just came out, Cocoon. That's by. I don't know if it's by Plated, but it mentions Inside and Limbo. That I don't know anything about, but it just came out. It looks interesting, at least. Inside, one of the best ever. I love Inside. It's the same
Playdead's
guys.
Limbo was such a success that the Danish Film Institute helped fund their follow-up game,
Fucking
Inside.
fantastic game.
Like its predecessor, Inside utilizes 2.5D gameplay and a unique
Yeah,
art design
I mean, it
to tell
has
its cryptic
scary
story.
implications,
like many
but I
games
don't
on
think
this
it's
list, Inside takes advantage of its moody atmosphere to
scary.
unnerve the player.
It does have the atmosphere and stuff.
Playdead are masters at generating a tense atmosphere,
It's a
complete
beautiful
with an
game,
intentionally
too.
sparse sound design and a shadowy visual palette. But Inside saves
One of these,
the
it's
best
just
and
one of those
scariest
games where
for last.
everything looks
In
like a
striking
painting.
climax, the player encounters the Huddle, which is arguably one of the most haunting creations in gaming. Its physical appearance and violent actions are permanently burned into the memories of all Inside players.
This part always reminded me
Number
of Mad Men.
5, The Evil Within 2.
Cool thing to show right away. Dude, Evil Within 2, I love compared to Evil Within 1.
Tango
Evil
Gameworks'
Within
The
2
Evil
is
Within
fucking
was
dope.
a strong spiritual successor
Within
to the
1,
Resident Evil
not a
franchise,
fan.
embodying many of its famous tropes and design elements. But its sequel was both a better and
Just because of how
scarier game
stupid it
every
gets, and like it's just a
conceivable way.
funner,
This
it's
is
just a
basically
fun
the
version of the
Resident Evil
game.
game that never was.
You gotta be kidding me.
It comes complete with some impressive monster design, tense gameplay rooted in action and survival, and a scuzzy atmosphere that harkens back to the franchise's best
Scuzzy.
locations. And yes, the story is a complete trip based largely in surrealism and nightmare logic. The Evil Within 2 is delightfully confusing, incredibly gross, and packed with fun survival action. What's not to love? Number 4, Alien Isolation.
Attention. Please remain calm and proceed to the nearest exit.
Finally, we got an
Yeah, I'm
Alien
not-
game in keeping with the
Honestly,
first
I
movie's
love
tone.
the idea of Alien
Most
Isolation.
Alien titles have followed in the
I
bombastic
fucking
James
hate how
Cameron's
long it
Aliens,
gets.
and that's fine. But a
Wish
lot
it
of the
did
franchise's fans were clamoring for a more atmospheric and
3 minutes
claustrophobic experience in
sooner,
keeping
or
with
like an
Ridley
hour
Scott's
sooner.
masterpiece and creative assembly delivered.
I like that the speed run for Alien Isolation is just like you walk through the thing in the beginning.
There are few video games as stressful and
I just hate how things-
anxiety-inducing
it's like,
as
oh
this,
no,
which
now
were
we gotta do
persistently
this.
hunted by the titular
Oh,
alien
no.
and left utterly powerless
Now we
to
gotta
defend
do
yourself
this.
against it.
Oh
Yes,
no.
there are defensive techniques, but most of your time will be spent cowering under tables or holding your breath in a locker.
Can't
as the
get out of here
alien
yet.
stomps
We gotta
and
go
sniffs
do
around
this.
outside. We didn't think our hearts could beat that fast.
Oh, now you're
Number 3,
in an alien cocoon.
Outlast.
Dude, Outlast, I gotta admit, I think it might have been the first scary game I played on the channel.
Outlast helped define the independent horror surge of the early 2010s.
So what
Developed
made
and published by Red
this channel,
Barrels, this game
I'm,
had
like,
you playing as
focused
a
on
journalist
spooky
who
games.
travels to a seemingly abandoned insane asylum to uncover truth about inhumane
It's another one
experiments.
that's too exhausting to play, though. I find it
The
tiring.
gameplay is relatively simplistic, as it mostly consists of walking around, running away from enemies, and hiding under beds. Most of the game's mastery lies in its execution. It preys on our intrinsic fears of the dark,
I love
of
Lost
being
in
chased
Viva.
and
Lost
hunted,
in Viva is a
and
great
of
game.
being helpless against an enemy who wishes to do us harm. It's
Played Lost in
amazing what
Viva
Red
right when it
Barrels
came
managed to
out.
do with such limited gameplay, and it helped revolutionize the way horror games were made throughout the decade.
There was some edited content I didn't play yet.
Number 2, Resident Evil 7 Biohazard.
All right.
A lot was riding
forgot
on
about her.
Resident Evil 7. Resident Evil 5 was considered a bit of a disappointment after the masterpiece that was 4, and 6 was just, well, let's not talk about 6. Now taking cues from the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Resident
didn't like
Evil
5,
7
honestly.
came barreling out of the gate, and
I liked
did
it
not
okay,
hold
but I
back.
just never finished it.
From the unnerving atmosphere of the Baker family residence, alongside disturbing boss battles and gruesome sequences.
So
we can't
Resident
show
Evil
here,
7
brought
Perfect game till the boat. That after that part of the game, it begins so fucking stupid. Everything up to the boat section of Resident Evil 7, almost perfect game.
the scares, both
Lead up to Resident Evil 7 was fucking fantastic too. Like all the teasing and the ghost hunting demo and shit like that. It was a great time. I loved it.
psychological and visceral. There may not have been a familiar face in sight until the very end, but this game single-handedly brought the franchise
The
back
boat
from the
sucks
brink
so
of
bad.
extinction. Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get
Yeah, just kind of a weird video. It's kind of like random. It seems like they picked a lot of
notified
these out of the
about our
hat.
latest videos.
Order doesn't
You
seem
have the
really.
option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure to go into
Yeah, we know. PT at number 1.
We may never forgive Konami for
No.
what they did to PT. If
PT,
you've been
definitely
living
gotta
under a rock,
admit,
PT was a
change-
playable teaser, hence the
Not just
initials
horror
for
gaming,
a
but maybe
new
even
Silent Hill
gaming.
game. This could have been the greatest horror game ever released. Not
Yeah.
only was it being co-directed by Hideo Kojima and Guillermo del Toro, but the demo alone was scarier and more impactful than most AAA horror games. This demo was a masterclass in horror, creating tension like nothing else
Nothing
and cycling through a wide
ever
variety
really-
of horror styles, each of which were well integrated and deliriously terrifying.
Like
It's a masterpiece
game
of supernatural
the
horror,
fad.
and it will
Nothing
never
that I
again
can really
see the
think of
light
that
day.
is like a masterpiece. Like nothing ever materialized out of the whole thing. There's a couple okay games that are like PT
In the
walking
mood for more
sims, but
awesome gaming content?
had a big influence on horror gaming and gaming overall, but there was no swan song moment of PT though. You know what I mean? For everything that came after it. I can't think of one game that really capitalized on it. Maybe Amnesia a little bit, or what was it called? Oh my god. Not Amnesia, obviously. Game that starts off with the guy killing his family. Fuck is it called? Dude, I swear to God, I can't think of a goddamn name tonight. No, I have it. I've played it before. Visage. Visage. That one may be the best PT, like. I don't know. I have to really think about it. I have to think about it. You know what I mean? Like there was no materializing like big fucking moments in PT knockoffs and stuff like that. I feel like, I don't know. Yeah, with the shortness of it, maybe that was the key. There's been a lot of really cool games and definitely some substance in that same style, but nothing memorable. Yeah, it was pretty scary when it came out. Yeah, so we're just looking for dumb lists to look at so we can talk about scary things. That's why we're watching fucking Mojo. But yeah, any like scary video game lists. Horror. Let's look for horror lists. Top horror games. Top horror list. Spooky games. I wonder if Chills has a Chills scariest games. Chills video games. Yeah. Chills 6-hour game introspective. Top horror games ever. It's just the video we just saw. Top 10 scariest first-person horror games. The last.
Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 scariest.
Clive Barker's Undying. Okay, this is a good we'll mention here. This is actually a cool game. Clive Barker. Genius.
If a game has a renowned horror creator like Clive Barker attached, you can bet you're in for a
We're just looking for
treat. Barker
easy
wrote
lists,
this cult
you know?
classic FPS on PC, which
I think this is on
players
GOG.
in the
It's a cool
role of
game.
a paranormal investigator in one seriously messed up mansion circa
Clive Barker's all right.
1923.
Tried to play it on stream once, but I think I stuck.
The
It's just
mansion's
a cool
owner
game. It's got some
performed an
really
occult
cool little
ritual with his
characters in it.
siblings during their childhood, which unleashed a curse that eventually
Clive Barker's done a lot of
claimed
cool
all of their
movies
lives
and
except for him.
all that
It's
fun
up to
shit.
you to deal with their twisted spirits while keeping a greater evil at bay. Although Undying was plenty scary,
Plenty
it
scary.
unfortunately sold poorly, leading to the cancellation of
It's a little
console
buggy
ports,
now,
a
too, when you try to play
multiplayer
it,
patch,
but
and any sequel possibilities.
very underrated.
Number
You're in a
9.
mansion that's randomly
Fear.
generated from the 90s. Huh. I don't know. Fear is fucking dope.
Finds her
Love Fear.
origin.
I don't like Fear 2 and 3. I like Fear 1.
The first entry, focusing on the first encounter assault recon
Actually,
team, gives you plenty of
amazing game.
firepower and the ability to slow down time to line up
So
your
fun.
shots. Despite this, you'll never feel overpowered. Going up against a rogue agent with psychic powers, you'll be confronted with
Such a fun
unsettling
game.
hallucinations almost immediately. And for the most part, there's nothing you can do to stop them.
A life of waking from one nightmare, only to find herself deep in another.
At Fear's core is something most
Yeah, I just felt like
of us
the gun
find
sucked so
terrifying.
bad in 2 compared to
A
1.
creepy little girl. An exceptionally dangerous telepath named Alma
I remember my
Wade
mom
is
got this for
responsible
us,
for your misery
like when we got a
throughout,
better
and
computer
her
in the
ability to
2000s,
scare
like
the
my little
crap
brother
out
or
of us
something.
knows no
I ended up
bounds.
playing it. Played this instead of Half-Life 2 originally. It ran so bad, but I still had fun with it.
Number 8. Condemned. Criminal
Yeah,
Origins.
see, this list is actually not bad so far.
If dim lighting,
just beating up
grisly
guys with
murders,
pipes.
and claustrophobic spaces are your thing, Condemned is surely the game for you.
It's a fun
As
game.
FBI agent Ethan
Dude.
Thomas, players are
I'll never forget seeing her and thinking it was Angelica's doll from Rugrats. Or Cynthia. Looks like Cynthia the doll, like the human version of her. I got like a whole highlight about that. It's Cynthia the doll.
thrust into a spree of violent crimes when they become the prime suspect. As if that wasn't bad enough, you also experience visions while you're trying to get to the bottom of things.
Nokia phone game.
Condemned was praised for its atmosphere, comprised of nauseating sound design and environments that would make even the most hardened adult fearful of the dark. Even as an FBI agent, you don't get the security of a gun. The game's focus on melee combat ensures you really have to fight for your life. Naturally,
Joe Rogan,
the developers left
eating
room
simulator.
to continue the depravity in a sequel.
How many sequels to Condemned were there?
Number 7.
It's the one.
Observer.
This is a weird jump. We are just talking. It didn't say Bloober.
Bloober Team had been steadily climbing the horror ladder with chilling releases like the Layers of Fear series, but the developer's strongest release
we
so far,
talked about Observer a second ago. I think it's their best game. I think it's Bloober's best game.
Psychological horror title Observer.
I don't think it's amazing, but I think it's Bloober's best game.
Set in a future post-plague Poland, we follow a special class
It's a lot like one of the last things that Rutger Hauer did before he died.
As a form of interrogation and gaining evidence. You'll have to use this method to track a serial killer who's leaving a trail of bodies like breadcrumbs. Although it isn't as visceral or violent as some others, there's an underlying fear
Still good to play now? Yeah, I'm sure it holds up. It's like a walking sim, but it's good. It's got some great visuals. It's a pretty game. Story, you go either way on it.
Number 6.
If you like cyberpunk stuff, it's a cool world to explore.
Frictional Games' Soma has all the best elements to freak us the hell out. Deadly AI? Check. Underwater facility? Check. An inability to fight
Love those
back?
parts where you're walking around outside and you can like walk up to the
After players
cliffs.
awaken on the Panthos 2 research station, they
Just, like,
find
looks
that
over.
the world has been mostly
fatigued
destroyed
on walking
by a
some horror
meteor.
games too, definitely.
In response, the facility's AI
Not
is
alone.
taken to mutating its passengers in some kind of
A few years ago, John Wolfe made a video about how like he is so tired of like every month there's like a big walking sim horror game that comes out. It's always $20. It always is like kind of mediocre. It's like I'm getting so tired of covering every single one of these. I completely agree, and that kind of happened to me too. It was when I forget what it was, in particular what game it was, but it's just like feeling so much like every other walking sim game like that. But every now and then there is a one that comes along that's refreshing, but definitely sometimes be tough to
secure
stick with it.
humanity's survival.
Can I help?
I think the right walking sim is still just fine.
Nothing is about to die.
Contending with these creations and other horrors is made much more difficult without any form of weaponry, and so players can only flee in fear and hope for a good hiding place. Good luck finding one quickly enough, especially in the low visibility underwater sections.
Low visibility. There's a good SCP game that came out recently that is like Tarkov SCP. You have to like escape a facility. It's like multiplayer, and you actually just like fight things with like Tarkov guns. It looks sick.
An asylum is a terrible place to be trapped in a horror game, let alone a first-person one. After receiving a tip of inhumane treatment at Mount Massive, investigative journalist Miles Upshur goes looking for a scoop. Unfortunately, Amnesia
good.
The Dark
37 good. For this.
Before we continue,
CP Tarkov game. CP 5K.
Holy crap, this is
This
huge.
This is so cool
Dude,
looking.
he's
I gotta
on me.
grab this at some point.
There's the... Well, not on its own. The table made it fire.
Yeah, the table.
Yeah, guns
Like
don't
an
kill people,
SCP.
tables kill people.
Co-op game.
Bro, he is still standing. All right,
tanking.
watch this. This is the SIG is ready for
You
this.
have to like clear out a facility together.
door just came
There's like all these
out.
different SCPs that attack you.
The power of SIG.
Look at this guy just hanging out.
Really want to try it
Glad
at some
we're wearing
point.
gas masks.
Yeah, sir.
This just came out a few months ago. I think it might be in early access still too, but
Contact front.
yeah, you just have to like deal with like all these different SCPs. And
I think I got
They're
one.
down. They're down.
Oh, whoa.
Where?
There's a
What is
moving thing
that?
in
then I
there.
have like plant monster.
There's a door.
Fast. It's like you're.
It's all one with like mannequins just like attacking them.
Going right.
Clear right.
Clear left.
Believe me, this is where that SCP.
Looks fun though.
Oh, we good?
Contacts rear, right? Up elevators.
Whoa. Shut off the projector.
We never made it past here.
The anomaly inhabiting the education.
Okay, I have no
center.
gun now.
The screens, man.
Yep.
There's not a lot of action where I'm on, but it reminds me of Tarkov a lot.
And it's got to have.
Oh shit!
What?
That scared me. Come back.
I'm
Come
not
back.
qualified for that.
Got him.
What are those?
One more. Two more.
Mag.
Got it.
Yeah, it looks cool.
Taking point.
You remind me of that Backrooms game that just came out too. Well. Didn't Tarkov get kind of shitty recently? Yeah, Tarkov's always been kind of shitty, but definitely has gone down the drain, it seems like. Although I still kind of want to give this patch a shot, but Tarkov was best years ago. There's no doubt about it. They've squandered a lot of the momentum, it felt like. GTFO, yeah, that's kind of what that one reminded me of a little bit. GTFO is cool. It's fucking hard, though. Happened to Dark and Darker? It's out on another platform that's not Steam. But there's like 3 Dark and Darker clones that just came out in the past like week. There's Greed is Good, and like, I don't know, there's like 3 of them that just came out. So funny. All right, how about the games from
Thankfully,
this
in
year?
2023, we have. But let's get started off talking about these with number 13. Of course, we have to mention the Texas Chainsaw Massacre game.
It actually does look pretty good. I don't know if anyone's been playing it, but looks better than Dead by Daylight. I don't know.
It's a classic.
Can't bring myself to really get into the live
Despite
action
the
or
gameplay
live
maybe not being totally horror, you know, it's an asymmetrical multiplayer
Service gaming
style
and
game
stuff,
that
though.
we've seen adapted to horror franchises in the past, but this one just seems like it's been given an extra level of care. The recreation of the family's house, the fact that you play as both survivors and the family members, either trying to kill the teens or as the
It does
teens
seem like people
escape
enjoy it, though.
from both the depths of the house, the upper house, and of course the surrounding fields. There just seems to be
Nobody
a level
wants
of
to be
detail
Leatherface,
and
so matchmaking takes
appreciation
forever. That
for the
sucks.
original film that we haven't really seen in a while. You know, no shade to the Texas Chainsaw Massacre movies of recent times. I mean, yeah.
What's the
okay,
point
maybe
if
some
nobody
shade
wants to be
them.
Leatherface?
Still, it seems like they could have a good thing going here, especially if they can make the rest of the gameplay as compelling as playing as Leatherface. Because
That was worked
that's
with the
biggest
creator of the
hurdle,
Chainsaw
right?
Massacre
Everybody
movie who
wants
was a
to play as
vested interest.
Leatherface,
Okay.
But sometimes in a multiplayer game, you
When
can't.
the
So if they
actual
can make that compelling
creator
and
is involved,
interesting,
I think that's a good
That's
sign.
going to be a win. The design of the house.
The only thing is, like, it worries me because Friday the 13th got like, isn't it gone now though? It's cheap and got unlocked for everybody, but didn't they lose the licensing and the game is just gone? That sucks, dude. It's so fucking shitty.
That stuff lovingly recreated seems like a good way
Game
to
was
get
fucking
me in,
fun when
but
it came
we
out,
have had
too.
our eyes on this one for a while now. We're hoping
All
for
the
the best, and it
shenanigans.
releases this summer. Next, over at number 12, we have the Dead Space remake. Yes, earlier in 2023.
Yeah, like I said, just not interested. Don't know. I like Dead Space just fine, but I have no urge to play this remake.
With a bang with the Dead Space remake. It did not reinvent the wheel. It did not completely change up the original Dead Space. What it did was give it pretty graphics,
Dead by Daylight
more
works because it
atmosphere,
pulls
more
on.
terror, and smart, clever.
I don't want to say the word normie, but like
in the gameplay,
anyone that has
playability,
any interest in
and little
horror
tiny
sees
additions to
Dead
the
by
story
Daylight
that
and
just
all the
heighten
properties they have.
experience. It
How
makes
could you
it
not
essentially
want
the
to get
definitive
out?
way to play the original Dead Space.
They
It's
really
not
do
a
have
different
the
way.
best
It's just
characters
mostly, in our
and
opinion,
properties in the
a
game.
better way. It's scary, it's dark,
Gameplay,
it's
total
gory,
dog
and
shit. I
people
don't
love
understand
it for
how
a
to
reason. There's a
still
reason this thing came out of
acceptable,
nowhere,
but
blew people away, and really created a whole franchise, whether you like that or not. The original game is downright incredible. It's
like all the
action,
Silent Hill shit, all the
sci-fi,
Resident Evil
survival
shit. That's
horror
so
at
fucking
its
cool.
best from the mid 2000s, and this
my
is
cat
a
just scared the fuck out of me.
really good representation of it. If you like games like Resident Evil, but you're also into horror movies or weird
There's like a rat
sci-fi
moving
horror
around on the
movie things
ground.
like
There's just a
Event
cat.
Horizon, Dead Space is up your alley. If you haven't considered it by now, you
Those
should.
look good though.
Now, next over at number 11, we have the Resident Evil 4 remake. Yeah, we're including the remakes back to back. We're just grouping them together because they're easy picks.
You know
The
what?
Resident
People
Evil 4
fucking
remake
loved
is an
RE4
absolute
remake. I still
blast.
got to
It's
play it.
another one that's just a great
I only played like a half an hour of it.
game. Tonally,
Maybe I'll do
this
it
one
this
is a little
this
bit
month.
different, but it still maintains that good mix of creepy terror and absolute
the Friday the 13th
outright
game had a lot of cool fan
zaniness
service.
that the original game
Especially if you like
really
the
kicked off
series.
and frankly kind of changed.
I was thinking about it today because the Red Letter Media about
Still
Friday the
playing it
13th
again
just came
in
out too.
2023 is awesome. Leon is more
Just- I love
badass
that
than ever.
series.
He's more playable and more capable than ever. There's a bit more to do in the game world, and it's downright gorgeous. Graphically, sure, but really from an art design and direction standpoint, it's a weird, strange.
Barely remember
descent
the
to
original
madness
RE4,
horror
so
trip that is
so
also
ready
part
for
like
it.
over-the-top Japanese action movie. Like it's something worth checking out if you never have before. I feel like at this point we're preaching
Japanese
to the
action
choir.
movie?
I
You
don't know
mean
how much more we can say about it, but yeah.
American?
Next over at number 10, we got something special that you may not have heard of. It's called Demonologist. It's on PC, and if you're a fan of
RE7's gonna be to
specifically
phone.
Phasmophobia,
Everything's gonna be on
this is
phone
more of
soon
like a
as they get more
spooky,
powerful, I have a
realistic,
feeling.
slow-paced, good graphics version.
You know what
of that,
actually
or
is a
if you-
fucking dope phone port that I barely have touched, but is really, really nice, is the Final Fantasy Tactics War of the Lions port phone. It's very, very good. And I have a Samsung Ultra, whatever the fuck is it? It's 23. I have like the little pen that pops out. That's why I got the phone, because you can take notes on it and stuff. But you can play Final Fantasy Tactics with like the stylus on the phone. It's so fucking nice. It's really good. I'd recommend it
like
if you
other
ever see
games
it.
with players, I don't know, even Among Us or prop hunt games, ghost hunt style games, Demonologist is worth checking out. People have absolutely been loving it, and essentially it's up to you and maybe up to 3 other players to cooperatively go around areas
Ever Crisis?
and
Which one's that?
identify what kind of spirit or ghost
The new
is
one?
in this place, and then you need to exorcise it. You need to perform an exorcism.
Oh,
and
dude,
you're
I love
doing
the
it
S23.
with old
It's so
school
nice.
Small tools.
S23
very
Ultra.
lo-fi
It's my
tech,
favorite phone I've ever
crosses,
had.
Research, you know, doing ghost exercising the old-fashioned way. You don't need fancy Ghostbusters hardware here. It's all about like the darkness, the pace of it all, and the scares. There's always going to be jump scares. There is a safe house you can take advantage
The
of.
mortuary
but, like,
assistant was
stuff just
good.
kind of
I
always
didn't have
feel
any draw
unsettled.
to it, but
it has voice
check it out.
interaction. It has stuff you'd expect from this style of game, but it's running an Unreal
Crisis
Engine
is
5,
Cliff Notes
and that just really
FF7.
seems to heighten
Oh,
the
right.
experience. You're customizing
All the
your
FF7
characters. There's a good handful of maps.
colon
and like
names
said,
now, I get 'em all
people
mixed
have been
up.
really digging it since it released earlier this year. Next, over at number 9, we have the Silent Hill 2 remake. This was announced.
Yeah, the bootleg
earlier
Android
this year, and
handhelds.
it's
I love those, dude. I got an Ambernick RG35XX. I would recommend it to anyone. It was $60. It plays everything up to PS1. So fucking cool. Like $60 is, you know, it's enough money, but like if you brought it with you on vacation, and you lost it, wouldn't like kill you. You know what I mean? As opposed to like a Steam Deck or something like that. It's really cool. What is it? An Ambernick 35 XX is a Game Boy, basically. It's an emulator Game Boy. It's very, very cool. I love it. A guy like Bob Wolf does a lot of cool videos about it.
in the works after many rumors by Bloober Team, the people behind the Medium or Layers of Fear. The Silent Hill 2 remake, as of right now, we haven't seen too much of other than a
I'm
reveal
very
trailer.
skeptical about
we know
this.
That they're keeping the story intact from what they say and kind of overhauling the combat a little bit because the combat was rough, but you know, we're still very curious to see how this shakes
skeptical
out because
I
Silent
do
Hill
not
2
really
was
like
such a
Bloober.
special, unique game, and we worry whether or not that feel can be replicated in 2023, especially by a different development studio.
Do almost feel
Still,
bad
as
for
much
them
as
now,
Konami has
though,
had its
honestly.
missteps and it should be criticized, we would still love to see the return of Silent Hill. There are other games in the works in the Silent Hill franchise. Others announced that
Oh, yeah,
we
Retro
can't
Game
fit on this
Corps is
list
really
'cause
good,
they're
too. I love
probably
his
not
channel.
coming this year, but we might see Silent Hill 2 remake this year. Rumors have been suggesting the fall, and that's the perfect time of year to play this type of game, so we hope to see it. Next, over at number 8, we have
Cat is
Killer
running around
Clowns from
chasing
Outer
a
Space, the
draw
game. Yeah, we're continuing
ground.
this trend of bringing weird old horror games into the
Just jump like
forefront
5
of
feet in
video
the air.
games in a multiplayer fashion, and Killer Clowns makes sense. You know,
Oh, yeah, I
why
completely
not?
forgot
First
about
of all,
this.
the fact that this franchise is getting a game is wild, so we're just gonna roll
Now
with
that-
it. It's not out yet at the
this
time
got
of making
announced,
this
I was
video,
like,
but we're looking
what?
forward to it as weird fans of the original. And you know what? Again, even if this game
The
turns out to be
clowns
not so
look
great,
fucking
the fact
disgusting.
that Killer Clowns is getting some representation in 2023 is kind of a win. You might think we're crazy,
know if
but
it's
hey,
come out
go
yet,
watch the
honestly.
movie, see for yourself. Next, over at number 7,
think so.
continuing the multiplayer trend, bear with me. We stumbled across this cool game apparently releasing this year called Carnival Hunt. This
Not
is
heard
a
of this.
horror, first-person, asymmetrical multiplayer game with kind of like a social angle to it. Essentially, you're in this haunted, creepy carnival world, and one person is playing as this thing called the Carnival Monster, and the other players are trying to survive as these bunnies. The bunnies, of course, look disgusting and gross, like weird hybrids of Five Nights at Freddy's and, I don't know, Silent Hill. But essentially, the bunnies are wind-up dolls, so they have to find keys and wind each other up to keep themselves going, and also will try to avoid the spooky, creepy carnival monster
shit, I
at the
didn't
same
see the
time.
ad in
'Cause
time.
he can hear you
Just
cranking
gonna
your
snooze it.
friends. Sorry. There are a few different carnival monsters that a player can play as that look creepy and cool, and we really hope something comes out of this one, because sometimes a good, simple game like this with a straightforward premise works. I mean, remember the Slender Man
I have
games?
not
They
heard of
weren't
this. Yeah, it looks
perfect,
dope.
but they had some good, simple scares.
The way the hands look too, with all the Pinocchio stuff, I think this could go over well.
So Carnival Hunt, maybe being like a multiplayer spin-off of that, is something we'd like to see. And like we said,
A little
the
Pinocchio
developer,
feel to
Fear
it,
Night
right?
Studio and publisher Crytivo have it slated for 2023. Next, over at number 6, we have Alone in the Dark.
Oh, yeah, this got
is like a
delayed recently.
reimagining of the
Yeah,
original
this got delayed till
classic game
January.
from the early.
This was supposed to be coming out end of this month, and it got delayed. Looking forward to it, but also not sure how this is going to work out.
Early 90s, with clearly much better graphics, more puzzle
Looks beautiful,
solving,
though,
more
yeah.
combat.
You gotta
and
play the original
David
again,
Harbour
because I
as
don't remember
Edward Carnby.
anything.
To be honest, this one's still up in the air. We don't know how this one could fare.
Yeah, this
how
got
it could
delayed till
play,
like
but
January
from what we've seen
15th, I
from the
want to say,
trailers and
from
the gameplay and
October
stuff, it seems like
25th.
a good, straightforward, third-person survival horror-y type game. The original game was filled with good scares,
Looking enemies.
interesting puzzles, and just a great haunted mansion atmosphere.
It's like way
we're
more
hoping
combat.
that Alone in the Dark can really continue that. This brand has needed a revival for a while. Alone in the Dark could
Some people really liked the more modern Alone in the Dark remakes. I didn't really love the one that I played a couple years ago, but I don't know. I'd be willing to give it a shot again. There's like a couple that came out in the 2000s. Like there's a PS2 one, I think. There's at least 2 that came out that were received pretty well. Then yeah, the OG PC games are
absolutely crush in the modern age as another big franchise in the horror world. So we're hoping
This
that
got
they nail
delayed till
it. As of
January.
right now, pending any delays, Alone in the Dark is slated for October 25th,
Anymore.
2023. Next, over at number 5, we have Daymare 1994 Sandcastle.
Dude, I could not-
This
I did
is
not
the
like
follow-up
Daymare.
to Daymare 1998. A
Tried
really
to play
underrated
Daymare,
game that
the
was kind
first
of like
one.
a spiritual successor to classic like Resident
Not that
Evil
great.
2 style horror. 1994 Sandcastle actually is going to serve as a prequel to that pretty cool game, and it seems like it's going a little
that's the one I
crazier,
played,
a little
the
bit more
360
action, a little bit more tech,
one.
a little bit more gadgets to use, like scanning your environment, using this kind of freezing grip device.
Game is
and
basically
fighting off
like a
against
Resident Evil
crazier,
fan
more
game. It
challenging,
started off as a
deadly,
Resident Evil 2
scary
fan
enemies.
game.
You're playing as a new protagonist this time around, and you're going into like a top secret military research facility that, of
And
course,
they just, like, do
is
their own
filled with
thing.
monsters and zombies. I mean, what would we be doing here? There's big action moments, there's survival horror elements, there's environmental puzzles that you'd expect, there's dealing with enemies
sorry about the
essentially
ads.
coming back to life and
Thanks for
maybe
sticking with
being
me.
more powerful, and a bunch of challenge with multiple difficulty modes. We're hoping they can knock
And
this one
Nightmare
out of the
Decay was
park.
fantastic.
As of right now, it's
I just
releasing
played that on
August
stream a few
29th,
weeks ago for the first
2023.
time. I loved it.
Next, over at number 4, we have Stalker 2: Heart of Chernobyl. While this isn't an outright horror
Another
game,
one that got
it's just
delayed
got
till
some
next
eerie
year.
elements to it. If it's anything like the original
Pumped for this,
PC
though.
classic Stalker games that kind of birthed
So
a
lucky they
subgenre,
decided to go
there's
back
an
on that NFT
unsettling
bullshit.
nature to it. It is, of
Fucking
course,
idiots.
a kind of survival game. You're out in a post-apocalyptic nuclear wasteland, and you're fending off against all different types of people, scientific anomalies, abominations, and there's just an air of mystery to it all. That if
They,
this
like,
new
probably
game
changed
can
the whole
keep that
fucking
feel
game.
going from the original,
They were going to have
we think it
NFTs in the
earns a
game.
worthy
People
spot
were
on
like,
this list. It's
the
just a
fuck
game
is
worth
wrong with
mentioning.
you? And they
Regardless,
eventually had to
it
be like,
seems
okay, we're
this
not going
time
to do
around,
that.
the visuals are really going to heighten the scares because, I mean, look at this game. You see this on screen here. It's been through many delays, a tough development process.
Everyone was like,
but
you
we're
better
really
knock
hoping
that
we
shit
get
out
to
or
see
I'm
Stalker
canceling my
2:
pre-order.
Heart of
And they were like,
Chernobyl
okay, we won't do it.
finally this year. Next, over at number 3, we have the Outlast Trials, a game that has not been talked about enough, to be honest. We haven't talked about it
This
enough
one
on
looks
this channel.
actually
But
decent. I haven't
seems
played
like
it
it's
yet.
taking the horror
Seen a few
world by
people trying
storm.
it,
It's
though.
Amnesia gone
It looks,
multiplayer.
again, Outlast
Essentially,
looks
you
so
and your friends
exhausting. Like,
are kind of working through some saw traps, like some jigsaw type traps, to be reductive, but there's a bit more to it than that. Of course, it's all based around Cold War experiments, and you're going to be jumping in alone to these challenges or with friends cooperatively and customizing your own characters and making your way through.
You can
stuff
arm
that
wrestle.
Still feels
Know that.
typically Outlast. Real creepy, gross freaks, gore, gross out stuff. Everything the doctor ordered. As of
Oh,
right now,
God.
it's still technically in early access, but it does feel pretty good. And if you haven't checked it out yet, maybe grab a friend.
yeah,
or
I mean, it's
two
one of those
and
ones
try
where
it.
I think you probably need
Next,
some
over at
friends to
number
play
2,
with. Make that one
Amnesia:
fun.
The Bunker.
Dude, I gotta
The
start Amnesia: The
developers have
Bunker
really
over.
done it again.
This
with
game,
really
if you haven't given it a shot, it's on Xbox Game Pass. It's really fucking good. Amnesia: The Bunker, better than any other Amnesia game except for the first one. It's a fucking good game. It's a great survival horror game.
really changing things up, but also
cool
going
setting,
back to
too.
basics. This is a simple, straightforward game where you're trapped in a war bunker deep below the surface.
I'd recommend it to anybody,
and
though,
you're
definitely.
Stuck with
It's
nothing
on
but
Game
more than a
Pass.
pistol and a
It's cool.
lo-fi
Check it out.
flashlight that you have to manually wind
It's not
up.
that
This is an
long either. I
old
think it's like a
school
4-hour
in an
game.
old school time period.
Oh, dude, I
but
love
it is
Penumbra.
absolutely
Forgot about
genuinely
Penumbra.
unsettling throughout. We don't want to
Should
spoil
remake
it or
Penumbra.
anything like that, but like the original Amnesia before it blew up, it was best to just kind of go in blind.
You could
and just
scare the
completely
rats with the fire
experience
there? I
this
didn't know
one
that.
with a sense of mystery. That's how these games really thrive. The developers, in my opinion, have always crushed it, but The Bunker feels a bit different. It's worth checking it out if you haven't already. For some reason, this one has kind of flown under some people's radar, but in my opinion, the Amnesia experience is still going strong, specifically with Amnesia: The Bunker. I'm back in now.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Now down to number 1, we have Alan Wake 2.
That
This
last
is
one
really
they made, the Amnesia Baby game, that one, I don't understand.
releasing this fall, and we're really excited about it, specifically because not only is it a follow-up to the incredible story and presentation and atmosphere and everything from the
Rebirth,
original
yeah.
Alan Wake, but this time around
Like
the
a
developers
misstep.
Remedy have specified that this game is going full
Looks
survival
really
horror.
good.
And from what we've
Really
seen
looks
of the
like
game
True
so far, it
Detective,
seems
too.
like that. It's very much resource management, scarce ammo, small combat.
So they had a new
moments,
trailer for the
and
new True
almost like a
Detective that's
Resident Evil
coming out.
remake style over-the-shoulder
Coming out in
combat
January, the Jodie
inventory
Foster
system
one.
that you'd expect,
Pumped
but
for that.
with lots of
So
scares.
excited.
Our experience with this game, what we've been able to see behind the scenes, has been pretty spooky and unsettling. It still distinctly feels Alan Wake because you're still hitting enemies with a flashlight before blasting them with a gun, but the environments, the graphics,
Blair Witch
the
game,
sound
the
design,
Forest one,
atmosphere
I thought it was
really
okay. I didn't
lean
love
in
it.
on
Hated the
horror
ending.
elements. All of the
I thought the
presentation is downright spooky,
Forest,
and we're excited to experience
the design
the
was
full thing.
fantastic.
We really hope they nail it with this one. Remedy's had a good track record. We really like their games for a while now, full transparency, but we're just hoping that Alan Wake 2 can actually
Looks
capitalize
completely
on
different
the
than
cooler
Alan Wake 1.
aspects of the original game, because the original game had some rough gameplay stuff. So hopefully Alan Wake 2 really crushes that. It's got a bigger story, 2 protagonists to play as, and a lot of mystery to be solved.
Looks like
because as
Keanu
much as they're
Reeves.
going all in on survival horror, they
I
also
gotta
have a
play
lot of
Signalis.
detective
I plan on
elements.
playing
We're
it this
excited to
month.
see how that all comes together when it releases, like I said, this fall, October 17th, 2023. Those are 13 horror games of 2023.
That was a
But of
good
course, we
list.
got some bonuses we got to mention. Blight, Survival. This is
Never
actually
heard
like
of
a
this.
multiplayer game, but with some incredible Unreal Engine 5 graphics, where you're a knight fighting.
Yeah, Signalis, I
off plague
played the
zombies.
demo
We don't
4
know if
years
this one's
ago.
going to release this year, but it might. Also, it's worth noting, Ghostwire Tokyo.
Oh, I do.
released for
Ghostwire
Xbox
Tokyo is
Series
cool.
X and S for 2023.
Only played a little bit of it, but this is a
last
cool
year
game.
on PlayStation, but now it's on Xbox. If you're on that platform, check it out. Also, Outbreak Island, if you're looking for a little bit of a kind of fort building, zombie defense, survival style game, and My Friendly Neighborhood. This is a game where essentially the Muppets of a television show come alive, and they're coming after you.
Wanted to
That's a
love My
good
Friendly
concept.
Neighborhood, but the
Those are
Muppets
13
got
or so
me.
horror games of 2023, but like we said at the start
Giving
of this
me like a
video,
headache
there's
and
so
shit.
many more games releasing worth mentioning that we couldn't include today. So let us know if you got your
Yeah,
own
that was actually a
personal
really good list.
down in the comments.
Yeah, I'm gonna link that video if you guys want to check them out. They're too scary. They were too scary.
Sometimes.
See if you guys have any other good lists. All right, later, Dingo. Thanks for chilling. I mean, he has a video for the things coming out this month. Let's just watch it. I'll be informed about
October's
this month.
coming up fast, and there's a ton of games releasing. As you know, we sort through the chaff to try to figure out what's important.
Lords of the Fallen?
Starting off at number 15,
This is gonna be
it's
rough,
Lords of
dude.
The Fallen. So if you're
Release this after Lies of P has like really cinched the best Souls-like game that isn't made by FromSoft the past few weeks. It's gonna be a rough launch for them unless it's fucking dope. Lords of the Fallen was already
interested in
out,
the
hasn't
first
it?
next-gen Souls-like with some unique mechanics, this is it. This is an Unreal Engine 5 title. It very much looks it. I don't know exactly to what extent it's utilizing the new features of Unreal 5.
Looks like
but
the Witch
wow,
King.
it is a pretty-looking game. It's also got a unique
gonna
parallel
kiss the vote?
worlds mechanic, which we've seen a little bit more of since the Dishonored and Titanfall missions. Honestly, it kind of reminds me of Effect and Cause and the time travel mansion in Dishonored, except it's everywhere. And I've seen this in a couple of games recently, too. Having it in a Souls-like, though, I think could be a really unique
My little
game.
brother
I don't
actually
think
really
it's
liked this
time-based,
game, and he was like,
parallel
"Oh, I love it."
I'm cool with
blah, blah,
that.
blah,
It
blah,
all
years
looks
ago, and I was
great.
like, "Dude,
From
you gotta just play
everything I've read,
Dark
the
Souls."
controls are
And he'd
nice and
never
tight,
played it.
too.
Like,
I
I still
haven't
don't think he
been able
has.
to play it, unfortunately, but I'm definitely
I feel
gonna.
bad,
I
kind
didn't
of,
really
being
play
like,
the
"It
original
sucks,
Lords of the
dude. You
Fallen.
gotta
I know
play
it's one
real,
of the
like,
original
ever."
Souls-likes, quote unquote. This game is both a sequel and a reboot to that game, and it kind
That
of
doesn't
looks
make
like it's
people
done
wanna
a
play
little
the
bit
game.
more to differentiate itself versus the original game. I'm excited to play it. Full next-gen release, PlayStation 5, Xbox Series, and PC. That's the only platform it's coming to.
He's old,
and
too,
it's landing
so.
October 13th. At number 14 is Forza Motorsport. Kind of a reboot, kind of another Forza game. They've been describing this one as the most technically advanced racing game ever made.
Looks
and
cool, but I don't
know
give a fuck.
If that's true, I think we're going to have to see a lot of comparison done after the game's release. But I'll say it looks pretty freaking incredible between the ray tracing.
I wanna
the
play a Speed
physics,
Racer
the
version of this
tire
game.
wear, weather. It all looks really cool. I don't
That
doubt
looks
the idea that it's
insane.
among the most technically advanced racing games ever made. Just from the looks of it, it's hard to argue with. I am a little bit more of a Forza Horizon person than a Forza Motorsport person.
Yeah, you just
I
run
kinda
everyone
like
over.
that little injection of a tiny bit of arcade into the formula. But obviously, Motorsport is a hell of a series, or sub-series, I guess. And I am, of course, really excited to see where they take Forza Motorsport. It's landing on Xbox Series and PC on October 10th. At number 13 is Dark Envoy, a co-op party-based tactical / classical
The fuck is
RPG,
this?
which, I mean, that's a lot of words, but in all seriousness, in terms of visually what we're talking about, it's a
These
pretty
robots.
good-looking game. We've got a nice fluid movement model, speed controls, stealth, cover. Honestly, pretty cool looking mechanics.
Eh.
I mean, it's a decidedly double A looking game, but I mean that in the best possible
Oh,
way.
Return to
It's kind of
Moria
a
is
gun-
coming out this month.
Number 12 is The Lord of the Rings Return to Moria, a survival/crafting game where Gimli goes and
What a
decides,
bizarre
hey,
idea.
let's take back the Dwarven Kingdom. Apparently, the developers have taken a pretty broad range of interests. They've talked about the Forest, Subnautica, Valheim, these types of games.
I want to play
being
it.
Influences on what they're trying to do with this one. So honestly, it sounds pretty
I love
interesting.
survival
There's
games,
cooperative
man. I don't know.
multiplayer as you're going down into the ground.
The
to
Watcher,
excavate
isn't it?
Resources. Apparently,
They
there's a
look
lot of
so
fighting in
stupid. The
game.
dwarves look
Not
dumb as
just
fuck.
with orcs, which are apparently kind of one of the bigger problems in the game, but there's also other stuff, creatures that exist underground and all that. I think this game sounds like it has a lot of potential. I haven't been able to play it, obviously, but I will when it lands on PS5 and PC on October 24th. It is coming to Xbox Series, but not this year. Still, keep your eyes out.
Wait, what?
At number 11 is Total War Pharaoh, which just by saying those 3 words, you should probably completely understand what it is.
I have a
If
feeling
you're
this is
not a Total
gonna
War
be
fan.
mediocre,
Total War
but-
is turn-based strategy, real-time
I love Total
tactics.
War.
They've covered a large number of different eras and even fictional worlds like Warhammer.
One of the best
And they
series
talked
I've ever
about
played.
How they want this to be a little bit
Lost
more deliberate
days of
than
my
their
life to these
other
games.
Bronze Age Collapse Total War game Troy. They talked about the player making less decisions in the game, but that they have more impact.
So they're gonna have
taking
to
a little
fight
bit of emphasis
sea
on
people?
management. I don't know if that's going to be a positive or a negative, but we'll definitely see it. Like, that's going to have an effect one way or the other. I'm personally interested because they don't make a lot of huge changes in the overall formula generally with Total War. It's more of an aesthetic and like per unit stuff. So I'm interested in seeing where Total War Pharaoh goes when it lands on PC on October 11th. At number 10 is Jusant, a platforming game by Don't Nod. This is a game that the demo came out a few months
Yeah,
ago. It's one
it's-
that I played.
They took, when they started working with Games Workshop, they took it really seriously. All the monetization. They're like, well, we sell every piece of plastic for a lot of money. The Creative Assembly was like, oh, okay. I'm sure Sega would like that if we just made every unit in the game something you have to fucking buy. They took the Games Workshop ethos really to heart when they started making Total War games.
It is different. So platforming is probably the correct word for the genre, but you might almost call it a puzzle climbing game. It's kind of like if the climbing stuff
Not heard of this. This
Uncharted
looks alright.
was a lot
Kinda
more
looks like Breath of the Wild
complicated
climbing.
and well fleshed out. And that's
The hell's
not to
that
say
guy?
that that stuff isn't fleshed out. It's fleshed out as far as it needs to be in Uncharted. Here it's the whole game, and it's as thoughtful as
This is
it could
October.
possibly be.
Could be
Honestly,
outdated now, though.
From the demo, I think this has potential to be a really, really good
That does
game.
look beautiful,
The
though.
control scheme is novel, to say the least. Like, it is definitely taking it a step beyond press A to do the next thing in the climbing. And I think that's good.
Darktide just got
I'm
an
excited
update.
to play the entire length
liked,
of it.
apparently.
Don't Nod
Well, that
is
looks
a developer
amazing.
that just really
Wow.
does not want you to predict what they're going to do next.
Space
Jusant
Marine 2 is coming out.
to PlayStation 5,
Possibly
Xbox
soon,
Series,
too.
and
I think this
PC,
year.
October 31st. At number 9 is Sonic Superstars, which kind
What
of
the fuck
looks
is going
like
on with
the
Sonic?
game that's
Never
going to
know.
break the
Fuck is
2.5D
this?
Sonic curse, in that it looks like they just decided to make a game that completely handles
Game.
like a
Say
2D
game.
Sonic that looks like a 3D 2.5D thing. We've got physics, we've got momentum, we've got evidence that this plays much more like Sonic Mania than Sonic the Hedgehog 4. Except for we've got 4-player co-op now, which is great. Honestly, what a great idea. If this thing lands the way we want it to land, this is probably the best possible idea for another 2D Sonic game after Sonic Mania. And if it's good and is commercially successful, I would guess this is the path going forward on the 2D end of Sonic. It definitely brings stuff into the game that I wouldn't have expected, while
I feel
retaining
a little dizzy
familiarity
watching
that
this,
is
honestly.
exactly what you want in 2D Sonic.
Why not
I don't
go
know
too fast
how
for me?
Both Sega and Nintendo basically came up with the same idea to do to their mainline platformers at the same time. I don't know. Maybe they decided, like, one called up the other and was like, you want everybody to think we're still doing the mascot war? I don't know. But in terms of somebody like myself that loves both Super Mario World and the Sega Genesis Sonic the Hedgehog games, this is a good month. Sonic Superstars landing on the PlayStations, the Xboxes, Nintendo Switch, and PC October 17th. At number 8 is Ghost Runner 2.
I honestly didn't even know that was
I don't know
coming
if you
out.
played the original Ghost Runner. It wasn't a huge title.
Yeah, this is actually
but
supposed to be
it is
pretty
a
sick.
great title. Back when it came out, I kind of compared it to if
Looks cool.
Mirror's Edge was a lot more violent. There is a demo if you're interested in playing that. It really takes the first game and builds on it. And also adds a motorcycle. And the motorcycle is awesome.
Looks like a cool
Seriously,
setting.
if you haven't given Ghost Runner 2 a shot just in the demo, it's a perfect demo for the game. It's one level, levels broken up into your Ghost Runner stuff, things that you would remember from the first game. Little more open, little more choice, more options, things that you can do to get to the end. Also, it looks better than the first. And then you hit the motorcycle and it's nuts. Ghost Runner 2 is landing on the PS5, the Xbox Series, and Windows October 26th. At number
No, it's
7
pretty
is
sick.
Alan Wake 2. If you are anything like me,
Everybody's
you love
pumped for
Remedy
Alan Wake 2,
Entertainment.
apparently.
Control was fantastic. The Alan Wake DLC really wet your whistle for this, and it's time. Now, Alan Wake 2 looks like it ramps up the survival horror pretty significantly compared to the first game, which is fine because that's kind of what everybody wanted the first game to be. I mean, Alan Wake is a freaking classic, but it is a little janky, and Remedy has really ramped up what they're capable of in the following decades. I mean, Control is
It's not actually Keanu Reeves, though,
I
is it?
fully expect
It's
Alan
like a
Wake 2 to be
that
the
looks like
exact
him.
same thing. There's some major differences here. You got two protagonists for one, and everything else that ensues, I'm just really excited for. I love Alan Wake. I love Remedy. I love Control. I'm excited to see how the Remedy connection
Just love Reeves like.
continues to develop. Alan Wake 2 is landing on the PS5, Xbox Series, and PC October 27th. And
There's so
number
much
6
shit
is
coming out.
EA Sports UFC 5,
EA Sports
which they're most
UFC
specifically
5.
boasting about its new damage model. I don't really know a whole lot about it.
I don't really care.
At number 5 is Super Mario Brothers Wonder. I mentioned this during the Sonic Superstars point. I don't know how it seems
my God,
like these
Mario
two
looks so
companies decided to
stupid.
do the same thing with their mascots the same month, but I'm not going to
He's
complain.
like such an
Here we
asshole.
got a 4-player co-op Super Mario Brothers game, which I'll say this, it's not the first time they've done that. They have a little bit more of a background of doing the 4-player co-op, but one should be able to root that influence back to how Sonic added Tails. So there's always been a
Roller
back and forth
skating
between these two titles,
was-
and I'm really excited that we get one from both of them, and they look like the best possible version of those things. This is a visually stunning 2D Mario side-scroller, and it also looks like they're actually coming up with a bunch of new original ideas for it. I am really excited to play it, and the Sonic game. Super Mario Bros. Wonder is landing on
The
Nintendo
fuck are
Switch.
those?
I will be playing it, on
Is
October
that a scary
20th.
Goomba?
At number 4 is Cities Skylines 2. Now, Sim City is a game I used to play the hell out of. My favorite is actually the Super Nintendo one. And there's never really been anything quite like that that's ever come out since. However, Sim City overall deteriorated pretty significantly, and Cities Skylines kind of became its spiritual successor and holds
Yeah.
the current crown. The first Cities Skylines is a fantastic game, and Cities Skylines 2 apparently expands on everything.
It looks
from
crazy.
transportation to construction. A lot more fine-tuning is apparently present in this game. Also, they've added a technology tree.
It looks
for
really pretty.
the development of technology within your society. There's some pretty cool ideas here. I'm definitely going to be playing this one, not because I think it's going to give me the feeling that Super Nintendo SimCity did way back in the day, but because it's the rightful heir at this point. This is the city simulator. It's the best one, and they've improved it from it looks pretty systemically. I'm excited. It's coming to PlayStation 5, Xbox Series, and PC on October 24th. Act number 3 is Detective Pikachu Returns, a sequel to the 3DS game, which inspired, frankly, one of the best video game movies ever made. Basically, it's an adventure
Really?
game. It's very different from Pokemon, but it's
I never
a
saw it.
hell of a lot of fun. Now, if you're unfamiliar with the world of Detective Pikachu, it's hilarious. Just hearing Pikachu talk is one of the funniest things possible. It's automatically funny because they gave him a gruff
It's
voice.
automatically funny.
It's amusing. Obviously, he's Ryan Reynolds in the movie. Very different experience. Still very good. I love the movie, but I am really excited to play Detective Pikachu Returns, which is coming out on Nintendo Switch October 6th. At number 2 is Assassin's Creed Mirage, which, well,
My
this is
God,
what we
I didn't
said
even know
we
this was
want,
coming
so
out.
hopefully it lands the way we want it to, right? I love the idea of a shorter, more story-oriented, focused Assassin's Creed. I've said it for years. I do
loved
enjoy
Assassin's
the big
Creed when it came
ones.
out, but I
I'm
just don't
glad
care
that
anymore.
There's kind of both series that are going to exist, but I really wanted this. So I really hope this one does it. Like, this looks like a more video gamey Assassin's Creed, although it's got an open world, a nice, pretty substantial looking and size one, just a lot smaller than the recent ones. It's a single city. You're an assassin. There's a lot of stealth that's apparently going to be going on, and this is on paper exactly what I want. So, man, they better land it. I want them to land this so bad because it's so much the type of thing I've wanted to see for a while, and I'm sure there's a lot of people feeling the exact same thing I am about this right now. I'm excited for it. I just know who Ubisoft is. I've seen them do what they do. They're capable of greatness, but they're also capable of tempering their greatness in what can only be called creative ways. Assassin's Creed Mirage is coming to the PlayStations, the Xboxes, and PC October 5th. And finally, at number 1, perhaps one of the heaviest of heavy hitters possible, Marvel's Spider-Man 2 is landing, and wow, do I want to play it. I mean, this month is insane. Seriously, there's so many
RPG
things
coming out this month, or is that
I want
November?
to play desperately bad. I am so excited for the game.
Yeah, that was
this month.
so fucking
Spider-Man 2 is gonna be
soft.
one of the best
You
superhero
insult.
games ever made. Period. It's the sequel to the previous one of the best superhero
Apparently these games
ever
are
made,
fucking
and
sick.
it builds on it in every conceivably good way. It seems to take everything about the original and Miles Morales and turns it into one much bigger game. And it's not just bigger, there's a lot more new mechanics.
I don't
The
really
story
care about
looks like
Marvel.
it's much more interesting. And the suits, my friends,
Spider-Man,
the suits,
etc.
you don't have to pay for the suits. When you ask where my super suit is, it's
And the
just
city
in the
looks
menu,
sick, though.
unlockable after playing the game. I love Insomniac's Marvel's Spider-Mans. Marvel's Spider-Man 2 is coming to the PlayStation 5 on October 20th. Be there or be square. Couple of bonus games for you. Firstly, Hellboy Web
What?
of the Word, a highly stylized action brawler roguelike.
didn't know this
Honestly,
existed.
a really novel-looking approach to a game. I don't know. There's a lot of variables in this game, especially it's a procedurally generated
the
roguelike.
fuck?
Like, it's just a collection of variables, actually. But still, it looks interesting. It's one of those games where it's kind of like, I kind of need to play this to fully understand what's going on here. But hey, it's a roguelike beat 'em up. Bring it. It's coming to the PlayStations, the Xboxes, Nintendo Switch, and PC October 4th. And finally, Metal Gear Solid Master Collection Volume 1. I don't really know what to say about this
month?
other than it's every Metal Gear Solid game that matters except for Metal Gear Solid 4. And that isn't a huge criticism, but I would like to play Metal Gear Solid 4 somewhere other than the PlayStation 3 and not emulate it on the PC with a bunch of setup and messing around with that whole mess. Also, Metal Gear Solid 5 isn't in this collection, but that makes sense too. Maybe Volume 2 is going to be 4 and 5. We can dream, right? This looks like a very good version of the collection up till then. I'm looking forward to playing it. It's landing on the PlayStations, the Xboxes, Nintendo Switch, and PC on October 24th. That's all for today. Leave us a comment.
That's all
Let us
for
know what you
today.
think. If you like this video, click like. If you're not subscribed,
There's a lot of stuff there I didn't know was coming out. To be fair. Honestly. All right. I am going to play some Lies of P for a little while. Right. So, going around for this new game that's coming out. And it looks really weird. So let's check it out real quick. Called Ill. Look at what the heck? Why do they look like that? Ugh. Take the video overlay, thank you. We can also just go whoop. Let me just back. Oh, what the fuck? Dude, Twin Snakes made this? Well, you know what? This reminds me of a game that came out a few years ago. It's called like September 2nd or something like that. 1998. Whoa. Also, they look like Minion. What's his name? Gru? What about them? They remind me of Gru. I don't know how to explain it. But there was a game that came out like, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago. It was called like September something. It was a date. The name of the game was a date. And it was like a super realistic demo, basically, where you just walk around a room and like stuff looks insanely cool. And, you know, something spooky happens, but I don't think. Whoa. Indie Circus. Looks like Beavis kind of a little bit too. Got like some Beavis thing going on. Oh, sick. What? I was not expecting that. Dude. What? Why do you do that? This just looks real footage. Oh, I've seen this before. That's what this was from? I see. I've seen this before. I had no idea it was something to do with this game. Oh, it's like kind of disturbing, dude. Even if it's not a real animal, I don't like seeing dying animal sometimes. Yeah. I mean, that looks super fake too. Why does it just keep eating it over and over again? The hell was that? How many trailers did they make?
That's what I thought. Bob Hopper doesn't know him either. Bob's got other things to do, right? That's right. It's news time.
What the fuck was that guy even saying?
Jesus!
Fuck. Oh, shit. Wait, huh?
Hello? I'm so sorry. No, I didn't.
He's like apologizing. I mean, you guys act like no one's ever made a trailer that didn't use strictly in-game footage before. Yeah, these are like different teams and stuff. There's at least 2 different games, I think.
You there, Mike? I made my way in. Found some sort of administrative room. It's a total mess here.
Shit. They were really rushing out of there, weren't they? All right. Head to the dome. It might be your only way down.
Gun. Yeah, that looked like actual gameplay more than the other stuff did. Team Clout seems like a fucking dumb name. Clearly this is not in-game footage. As opposed to this, which I think looks a little bit more realistic. Dude, they got the Final Fantasy sound. I wonder when it would even be like coming out. You guys seen the footage of this the RoboCop game? I already have it on my wish list. Saw some really cool footage from it. Yeah, it has a demo. Just have to download it.
You're here.
We need to get these elevators back online. The service box is in the basement.
Let me.
I doubt you have time between all the heroics, but I got a key card from the janitor. It's
Their
good to
faces
get
are so like
from time to time,
fleshy.
you know? After you. They sabotage the elevators and staircase too.
I don't know if these devs
Be disturbed.
made it. I think some of them worked on the Terminator game, but I don't know if this is a new studio. Yeah, it has something to do with Terminator Resistance.
That graffiti is fresh.
Immediately reminds me of the VATS. Just sounded like people dying in the VAT system.
Welcome, don't you think?
Just the sound effect sounded like that for a second. Yeah, the Terminator one's pretty cool. Didn't really get a lot of coverage. Wasn't like amazing though, but I'm using a Mac. It's not his normal gun, right? No. Music is cool too. RoboCop had like really neat music. Oh my god, just immediately. See, this is almost like, this is kind of not for everybody, I guess, a lot of the gore, but I wish that Starfield had a little bit more of this feel to the shooting. Oh my god. Why did that happen? Demo is 50 gigs. Oh my god. RoboCop vision. Use your RoboCop vision. The thing about this game that is interesting to me is that I don't remember anyone ever announcing this or talking about the development of it at all.
I think I've got something.
It just kind of like dropped. Maybe I just wasn't paying attention. But honestly, I love that. I love when a game just fucking appears one day and everyone's like, yo, this is sick. Kind of like an underdog thing, I guess, too.
It's on the 30th floor.
Yeah, I suppose it's some kind of thing where they announce it and everyone's like, okay, just forgets immediately. Oh, dude, his hair's sick.
So, our friends in blue finally decided to join our glamorous show. I'm afraid you're too late for my autograph. Chopper's ready. I've got to go, but the party goes on.
His voice.
Guys, make sure you provide all our guests with a decent amount of amusement, so don't skimp on the nuke. See ya.
What a freaking psycho. We need to be quick before they kill anyone else. I know that look, Murphy. You saw something, didn't you?
We are here to enforce the law, Lewis. Let us stay focused.
Right. Just keep in mind that I'm here if you need me, partner.
We're here to enforce the law. I mean, underdog as in no one has been talking about the game at all and disappeared.
Just look at that, boys. The police dog and its bitch. Not sure which one is which.
You're gonna take that back.
Yeah, that looked goofy as fuck. RoboCop with an AK. Yeah, there's like 20 different guns you can use, I think. Oh my god. I kind of don't like that she's just there.
Nice and easy.
I was thinking it'd be fun to pick up and shoot a bunch of stuff for a weekend. This is his actual gun, isn't it? Actual robo gun. Oh, this is 100% a real licensed game. Punk power. Yeah, library sound effects and stuff like that's not really insane. It's not like everyone goes out to make a game and they like record new gun sounds every time.
Thank God you've come. This lady really needs to see a doctor.
Murphy, these people need help. Why don't you go ahead? I'll
Their
stay with
faces look so insane. Like you could see like the dimples on her nose and shit.
This is Lewis. We have rescued 3 hostages, one with a gunshot wound to the abdomen, requesting urgent medical assistance. Over.
It doesn't look. It looks weird. They look too much like real people, kind of. Like a real old lady nose. My God, that guy's face is just cut in half. I mean, it looks like a game that's not going to exactly make you feel like you've experienced anything profound, but it just looks fucking fun. But also something maybe to wait and buy for like $10 someday almost. You know what I mean? Yeah, I think RoboCop, I think he's just OP in general. I think that's the idea. Environments kind of look a little boring, but I would expect a little bit more grime and dirt. Maybe there's different areas like that. Yeah, it's like super clean looking. He's having flashbacks. He's in a TV set. Oh, it's like a studio.
It's a surprise. Alex, what do you think about the color of this dress?
It's abandoned too. You think it would be like so grimy? Oh, he's seeing like, oh, I don't know.
James really looks up to you. He said in school.
Get a small open area after this with a ton of grime. That's cool.
Just like his dad.
We cannot let him pass. It's your fault.
Oh, it's a hostage situation. I see. I thought if they were like dug in there, it would be all fucked up, but if they just broke in, I guess that makes sense. It do be making sense. Yeah, Judge Dredd has never really been done right in a game. I'm aware of.
Get me another one of those choppers, like the one that took Soot. You hear me?
You work so hard, honey. Why don't you take some leave? We all could use a little break from this reality, don't you think?
Wakey, wakey! I'm talking to you, Shiny! Stand back from that door, or I'll shoot her! I swear to nuke!
I don't know what I would do if I ever lost you.
You got 3 seconds! 3!
Our family is the only thing I need to be happy.
2! Are you fucking deaf?
Promise me, we will stay like this forever.
1! Last chance, weirdo!
I love you so much, Iris.
We saw that coming. She saved him. I gotta kill her. She was taping it.
What does it want? Get it away from me!
I am sorry.
Can't you see? It's unstable!
Ma'am, please calm down.
Walk off?
It's been a very
What?
tough evening, and I assure you that everyone wants to be back home with their families. Though for some of us, the night has just begun.
Their faces look like they've been underwater for too long. Like they're like pruning up, kind of.